Well, it's a story that's very rooted in history. The American industry is different from the industry in France or in Europe because in the United States, because it's such a large country, we have very big car companies versus Japan or France or Germany, where you had a lot of companies competing. Here you only had General Motors, Ford, and Chrysler. And because they were so large, they could convince themselves that they were all of the market. And they really didn't pay attention when other car companies started to compete in the United States. So it was visible almost 20 years ago that General Motors would no longer be able to dominate the car market, but they really didn't listen. And because they were so big for so long, they didn't see what was coming up from behind them. And it was way too late by the time they realized they had to take action. Well, it wasn't so much what the workers were paid in a salary. It was the kind of benefits that they got, because the United States did not have national health care. Our pension plan, the Social Security, is not really generous enough for anyone to live on. And so the priorities for the union were a strong health care program and strong pension programs. But as those programs got so strong, it meant that fewer and fewer workers could be employed because the expense just got so great. And by the time the companies filed for bankruptcy, the estimate was that the shortfall on these health care and pension plans was $100 billion. And there is no company on earth that can make enough money to overcome that shortfall. I don't believe it's only the union's fault. I think there are two sides to every contract. And if management signs it, that they bear the responsibility as well. I do think there's a future, but it is not going to be like the past. And I think one of the biggest hurdles that Detroit has to overcome is a mental issue, an issue of thought, of culture, about the size of the American automobile industry. First of all, we're going to sell fewer cars in the United States. People are more environmentally conscious. The recession has been very hard on families, and they're making a decision: do we need 3 cars? Do we need 2 cars? Do we even need 1 car? And this is the kind of thought process that's always gone on in Europe, but it's never gone on in the United States. So socially, we're changing. And that has great implications for Detroit. I don't think anyone in Detroit should feel that this auto industry will be the size that it was, or the power that it was, or employ as many people. I don't believe that any of the foreign manufacturers from outside the country would ever put a plant in Detroit, because Michigan is not a right-to-work state. And in American law, right-to-work states means that you can't be forced to join a union even if one is formed in your factory. So if I live in Alabama and the United Auto Workers Union comes in, I don't have to join, and they won't take that out of my paycheck. In Michigan, you either join the union or you pay the dues. So this is the problem for Michigan and for Detroit. Why would a foreign company come here when the chances are very good a union would be formed, rather than go to a state where it's wide open? So I think that's the biggest factor. And I also think culturally, I think the mindset, that this whole area was set up on the idea that you didn't even have to graduate high school, but your father, your uncle, your cousin could get you a job in a factory. You would earn a white-collar wage. You would earn the same wage as an administrator in an office. And you would have a lot of vacation, and you would have a lot of extras.